November 3rd. 1. Extreme heat. Even a single drop of sweat from purgatory's fire burns like flame. Saint Shigdalia Konka once saw the appearance of a soul suffering in purgatory, enveloped completely in blazing fire, crying out in deep agony. The heat was so intense that the saint could hardly bear to look upon him, and he begged the soul to describe what that dreadful heat was like. The suffering soul replied, "Do you wish me to give you an example? Know this. Even the fiercest fire on earth, no matter how scorching, would feel like a cool, gentle breeze compared to the flames that now consume me." As he spoke, the soul allowed a single drop of sweat, formed from the fire's heat, to fall upon the saint's hand. That drop caused such unbearable pain that the saint screamed in agony, waking all his fellow monks in the monastery. They rushed to his chamber and found him collapsed on the floor, unconscious from the pain caused by that single drop. It took a long time before they could revive him. Later, when they asked why he had cried out so terribly, the saint showed them the burn mark on his hand, made by that one drop of sweat, and confessed that he would suffer pain from it for the rest of his life. 2. The Divine Warning Bell. Father Ferdinand Cati, a priest of the Dominican order in Spain, recounted a remarkable story that the Lord once revealed in the monastery of Saint Dominic in Demora. It was observed that whenever the church bell began to ring of its own accord, without any human hand, it signaled that a brother in the community was about to die. Therefore, whenever that mysterious sound was heard, all the monks would prepare themselves by receiving the sacraments, praying fervently, and practicing penance, readying their souls for death. The anxiety of the community would not end until one of the brothers actually passed away. In that same monastery, there lived a Dominican friar of great virtue who was deeply devoted to a Franciscan friar known for equal holiness. One day, the two friends made a sacred pact. Whoever should die first would return to tell the other of his fate, and if he were sent to purgatory, the survivor would pray and offer masses for his deliverance. The Franciscan was called first. Some time later, he appeared to his Dominican friend. After greeting him with affection, he explained that he was still suffering the fires of purification for sins not yet fully atoned for. To move his friend to pity and zeal, he revealed the flames that burned around him and said, "My dear friend, nothing on earth can give you even the faintest idea of the heat of these flames. Would you like a small proof?" He then placed his hand upon a wooden table. Instantly, the table caught fire and burned through, leaving a deep hole. That very table was preserved for centuries in Demora as a testimony to the unimaginable torments of purgatory. The Dominican friar, terrified by what he saw, redoubled his prayers, penances, and masses for the repose of his friend's soul. We do not have such a miracle warning bell to foretell our death. Therefore, we must always live in a state of readiness, lest we be cast into the consuming flames of purgatory or hell. 3. One moment of suffering in purgatory is more painful than the hardest earthly martyrdom. St. Augustine once sternly rebuked a man in his time who said that purgatory was not very dreadful. The saint declared, "No one should ever speak so lightly, for the fire of purgatory is more terrifying than all the tortures of this world." The following story confirms this truth. Two monks, both striving for holiness, were close friends. One fell gravely ill, and an angel appeared to tell him that after his death he would remain in purgatory until one holy mass was offered for him, and only then would he enter heaven. Filled with joy at this revelation, he called his friend and begged him to offer the promised mass as soon as possible. The friend agreed. The next morning, the monk died, and his friend immediately went to the altar to celebrate Mass for his soul. When the Mass was finished, the departed monk appeared to him, radiant and joyful, yet still bearing a trace of sorrow. He said, "Brother, do you believe? Did you keep your promise faithfully? You have no idea how great the mercy of God is, yet you left me suffering in purgatory for more than a year before celebrating that Mass." The priest, astonished, replied, "What are you saying? I kept my word faithfully. Look, I have only just taken off my vestments. You died only a few hours ago, and your body is still unburied." Then the suffering soul sighed and said, "Ah, my friend, how dreadful are the pains of purgatory! Even 1 hour here is longer and harder than years on earth. But now I ascend to heaven to ask God to reward you for the charity you have shown me." Prayer. O Lord, a single drop of sweat from the fire of purgatory can burn through flesh like molten iron. A single touch can pierce deeper than earthly flames, and one moment of suffering there surpasses all the torments of this world. Grant us, O Lord, a deep awareness of the pains of purgatory and the grace to live in such holiness that we may avoid those fearful fires through your mercy and love. Amen.